Okay, here we are. Okay, hi everyone. We are live. Matt Ho unfortunately could not join us tonight. He is on call to possibly be on Democracy Now! In the morning, and he had homework. He has to watch the Walls Harris interview that is apparently happening right now at the same time. So anyway, we will get started. Why don't we go around? This is usually Matt's job, but we'll start. Why don't we, Joyce, since you don't have your camera up yet, we'll start with Barry. We'll just go around and you guys can all introduce yourself.
Sure. My name's Barry Bender. I am the Green Party candidate for Congressional District 4 here in New Jersey. I live on, I guess you people have watched the show Jersey Shore. I live on the Jersey Shore, but none of those people were from the Jersey Shore that was on that show, by the way. So I'm looking forward to the campaign. I'm running against a incumbent who's been in office for 44 years. And I think that's long enough. And I'm pushing for new ideas and a new voice here. I live in Ocean County, New Jersey, and I think there are enough people that believe that it really is time for a change here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I should have asked, oh, did we lose John? Oh, here we go. We lost, hold on, I think we lost John. I'm sure he'll be back. Okay, I should have asked also to just say why you're here on Candidates for Assange. Of course, Assange is freed, but I think the fight continues. So if you'd like to say a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, you know, they talk about the land of the free and home of the brave, but we're not really free, because if you say the wrong words, you get yourself in a lot of trouble. I'm going down to Montana, St. Pete tomorrow night to march with the Uhuru 3, who are also having their right to free speech infringed upon, being charged as foreign agents because of their voicing their opinion. So it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's crazy. You know, they talk about, you know, the how many rights we have, but every day more and more of our rights are taken away, and we really have no say, and we have to fight back. So that's why I'm here tonight.
Absolutely. We played a clip about the Uhuru 3. I think I may pull it up while we move on to the next person. Maybe we can talk about it a little bit. So, Joe.
Hey, thanks. Joe Odo from South Carolina's 6th District against only a 32-year incumbent. I mean, man, you 44 years. Man, that was amazing. This cat's 84. I can't imagine how old that dude is. I'm basically here. I actually am an independent contractor with a company based in Jersey. And these guys are biased against people who have another life. And they're actually, you know, considering cutting me loose because I go on LinkedIn and out there I, you know, advocate for political activity leading up to a contentious election. Well, hey, that's what we do. You know, those of us who step into this arena do it at great risk, and I appreciate all you guys that do it. And ladies, it's amazing, and we got to keep on fighting. I mean, you know, that's why we do it, because we got to recruit others to do it behind us. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Kelly, for keeping this going.
So let's see. I think we have some beeping, but I just wanted to say we had Ben Taylor on here. I think he's like 25. And it was really a funny moment because he was just like, yeah, the guy I'm running against has been in longer than I've been alive. It was wow.
Now he's dead, the guy he was running against.
He did pass away the other day, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How about that? That could be an opening for him. Huh?
It's exactly the same situation that happened with me in District 10 with Donald Payne Jr. That's exactly the same thing that's happening.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we lost Joyce again. Joyce, if you're listening, I'll pull you back up as soon as you rejoin, but we'll go on. Oh, there she is. Let me pull her up. You know, you guys, she's been out at a state fair. Okay, Joyce, do you want to go next?
Oh, sure. My name is Joyce Lacey. I'm running for U.S. Senate in Minnesota against Amy Klobuchar. I'm sure that you're probably all familiar with Amy. She too has been in office now for, my goodness, it's been 3 terms. This will be her 4th term. It's unprecedented for somebody to be in there that long. And so I've been trying and striving to run a good campaign, honest campaign. And so we've had some uh, newspaper interviews and some interviews on television, which has been wonderful that we're getting that press because, as you know, we don't have a huge funding, which I'm also trying to get something to well, campaign finance reform. I don't believe that offices should be bought. I believe that you should earn your office. It would be like bribery in any other instance. And so I've been trying to change that, and I'm hoping that we can, do that because of the fact that right now Amy Klobuchar has, I don't know how many thousands of dollars, and a lot of people are asking, well, how do you expect to compete with that? Well, basically by just telling the facts and getting out there what is actually happening and trying to make points that people need to know. For example, I don't know if you know this, but in Minnesota, there was the governor in New York. He was actually let go because he put so many people in nursing homes during COVID, and many people died. In Minnesota, 2,800 people died in nursing homes by doing that. Our governor put those people in there, and then Amy was all for it. And I was with families, and we were trying to be sure that they would be able to see their loved ones before they passed. But no, we couldn't even get that. And so that's one of the reasons I'm running. And we've tried for 5 years to basically get the Bill of Rights for guardians and conservators in Minnesota, the Bill of Rights for the wards of the state to be implemented and to be basically enforced. And it's just a human rights bill. We've tried 2 different Senate files, 2 different House files. It should be a no-brainer, but we can't get it passed. So that's one of the reasons I'm running. Well, actually, those are 2 of the reasons because I don't believe that 2,800 people should have died. And I don't believe that, and Amy too she could have made a difference in the burning down of Minneapolis and St. Paul with the riots. These people, they shouldn't be in office. And I can't believe Waltz is up for vice president. And did they even bring up the fact that he's killed like 2,800 people and he doesn't even have remorse about it? He was a teacher, and you know what he taught on? He taught on genocide. And that's kind of exactly what he's doing is genocide. And so,
Wow.
anyway, that's some of the reasons that I'm running. But yeah, and we're trying to get, so people really are understanding about this whole thing with guardianship because it's modern day slavery. It's basically these people are put in probate court. They're made into a piece of property. Everything they own is taken from them. Their social security, their pension, their life savings, their property, and their well-being. Basically, they're no longer a person. They are just a number. And, it's just unbelievable that this is actually happening in America. It's freedom and justice for all, except those that are in guardianship. And that is just, getting to be unbelievable.
Wow.
And unfortunately, it took somebody like Britney Spears to really, it takes a famous person to bring light
Mm.
to this. I've been trying for years to bring light to this, but, I couldn't get any coverage. I tried to get newspaper reporters. We had a World Elder Abuse Day at the state capitol on June 15th for the last 5 years. And we've had reporters come out and they've basically interviewed us. We thought we'd see something on the news, but unfortunately, no, there's been nothing on the news. And so they basically just say, oh, isn't it sad? These elderly people are going through this and they haven't really told any of their stories. So,
Wow.
yeah, I'm glad it's getting out there a little bit, but not as much as we had hoped. But hopefully we can make a difference
Yeah,
and save some of these people.
it's not an issue I really knew about, but I saw that on your Twitter page, I believe it was, in an article linking about the guardianship problem. So, wow.
Yeah, unbelievable, right? And even what they're doing with elderly, it seems like depopulation.
Mm.
2,800 people in Minnesota nursing homes, and Waltz and Amy Klobuchar have no remorse whatsoever. These are human beings, and they have families. And the families weren't even allowed to see them. You know, even a 5-year-old can figure out, oh, we can't go see grandma and grandpa. But now the sick people went in, and now we're going to grandma and grandpa's funeral. A 5-year-old can figure out that there's something wrong with this. So
Jeez.
I'm just
Wow.
hoping to make a difference.
Well,
So
thank you. Okay, John, do you want to just tell a little bit about where you're running and why you're here on Candidates for Assange?
Yeah, of course. So I obviously heard of Candidates for Assange through X, formerly Twitter, obviously. And it was something that I did learn about more so recently, just because I am 24 years old, fresh out of college. I'm actually still continuing my education, regardless of whether, I'm running for office or not. I still do want to continue to educate myself and get as many degrees as possible. But I just I have such a crave for knowledge, and when it comes to politics, especially since I was 8 years old. I mention this all the time when I'm on interviews and conversations with people, and it's really, I'm very passionate about who I am and what I want to do for this world, and not just this world, especially for this country, because we are in a decline, and our system is failing us, just like it has always failed us. And I really want to I'm such a leader, and I really want to take the initiative to help lead the change that we need. Yeah, that's basically me.
Okay, great. All right, and Pete. Pete is here. Pete is the campaign manager of Chester Todd's campaign. So I'm going to pull up his. Let you go ahead. I'm just going to share. Here we go. So Chester Todd is. I'm sorry. What district is this?
Chester Todd, the first district in Wisconsin, which is the southeastern part of Wisconsin that is not Milwaukee.
Right.
I campaign manager for Chester Todd. Chester is just an amazing individual, and it's really fulfilling to work with him. I'm also a candidate. In 2026, I'll be running for Wisconsin Secretary of State. We're trying to put together a full slate of green candidates in 2026. Number one, to change the world, but number two, to change the Democrats to punish the Democrats for the way they've treated the Green Party over this whole ballot access thing. I'm the Green Party election chair, Green Party of Wisconsin election chair, and a couple of us kind of took the lead in fighting this. So it's been a whirlwind of a last week. I can't believe it was just last Thursday that this all started, and it's been through hearings and Supreme Courts, and fortunately we came out, it appears to be victorious, but you never know. Someone as much an elder of mine said, you think you have it, but there's that little man who lives behind the woodshed will just come out and ruin everything when just when you think you're safe. So we'll see what happens, and I'm happy to be here.
Okay, great. I think I'm going to play this clip. This is from last week, and we actually had someone who's also running for Senate in Minnesota. You guys aren't on the same panel, but she's a libertarian, and this was her speak. What she said about the whole ballot access obstacle was just possibly one of the best clips we've had, as well, definitely on the issue of elections. And I've made this argument before. I do some volunteer work with different election integrity transparency organizations, and they're mainly Democrat run because they're all from prior to 2020. So they're not the Stop the Steal people talking about election integrity. But I've made this argument, what she says in this clip, and I've gotten extreme pushback when I said it. And I was just so glad that she said it. And I said, I think we need to start talking about this and framing it this way. So here we go.
I realized that this comes down to being just a First Amendment violation. Like, if you don't have access to be able to vote your conscience and to vote for who you want to be able to, because the two major parties have put so many barriers and so many challenges for people to be able to get onto the ballot, then you can't exercise your basic First Amendment principle just by simply casting a ballot, because they're keeping people off the ballot with their arbitrary rules.
So I thought,
Right
hang
on.
on, I got this pushback. No, it's not voting rights. It's not voter ID issue. But I'm like, but if you can't even, people can't get on the ballot and you're left with no choices. So I think she's on to what she said. We need to push that. So I was wondering, Pete, do you want to go into more about what actually happened? Because I know this is not new. It's been going on. It's too bad Matt isn't here tonight because it happened to him. The Democrats trying to keep him as a Green off the ballot. But do you want to tell what happened to Chester and there in Wisconsin?
Okay. Yeah, and this is not new in Wisconsin. We went through this same fight in 2020 and we lost. And our candidate, Howie Hawkins, was thrown off the ballot. And that time it was because the Green Party vice presidential candidate moved halfway through the nomination gatherings process, and we received some advice from the state elections board. Apparently it wasn't very good advice, and then it was strung out so long that the Wisconsin Supreme Court pretty much said, well, we're just going to keep you off the ballot. We're not going to do anything because it's getting too late to printing ballots, and sorry, it's too late. So that was a ploy they used in 2020. This time around, 2024, I'm sitting around minding my own business on a Wednesday afternoon, and all of a sudden get served papers saying the Wisconsin Green Party is being sued by an individual named David Strange, who's with the DNC. And so we start scrambling around trying to find out what's going on. The next day, Thursday morning, Thursday at 2:00, the Wisconsin State Supreme Court issued an order saying, hey, you need to have legal briefs in by 5 p.m. on Friday. Of course, we did not have an attorney at that time. We scrambled. We must have made a zillion phone calls over the next several hours. And around midnight, we found an attorney to help us. They were all able to get the briefs in. The issue was that apparently each partisan political party that's on the ballot, if you're an independent and you don't have ballot status in Wisconsin, the Wisconsin Green Party had earned ballot status by receiving enough votes in the prior gubernatorial election, that you have to have a state legislator or what they call a party official, state legislator, so assembly, senate, governor, you can have a district attorney throughout the state to nominate your electors in a meeting in October. You could also have a candidate for those offices, and the Wisconsin Green Party did not have any legislative candidates running this term. So they're contending that since we could not nominate our electors, that we should not be on the ballot, because if Jill Stein were to win the nomination, that there would be total chaos. We would not be able to maybe not be able to vote in the Electoral College. Of course, that's all a bunch of crap, but they convinced themselves and some other people it was correct. So what amazes me through this whole thing is just the amount of money and amount that the Democrats put into this. Us defending it, because fortunately we had some people helping us. Otherwise, we'd never be able to do it with legal bills. The millions of dollars that went into this within a week just shows that the power of money in politics. Came out to me Monday. They had ordered some more briefs to be filed. The Republican Party wanted to join the lawsuit. Some other people. About 2-3 o'clock on Monday of this week, the Supreme Court issued a statement saying they're not hearing the case. And they said because the plaintiff, the Democratic parties, has no remedy. So they were sending a very strong message saying there is no merit to this case. I think that we put the Democrats between a rock and a hard place, because we pointed out that if we were thrown off the ballot, the Libertarian Party and the Constitution Party would also be thrown off the ballot for the same reason, if the Democrats' argument held up. And of course, the Democrats look at all this through the prism of spoilers. And it was turned from it being a net positive, Jill leaving the ballot, to being a net negative with the Greens, the Libertarians, and the Constitution Party all leaving. So the Democrats, I think, were trying to find a way out of it at that point. And our Wisconsin State Supreme Court is also very partisan. We have what they call four progressives and 3 conservatives, and they always vote along party lines. So I just have a feeling that all came together, and they no longer thought they could. They no longer thought that winning would even be winning for them. But who the heck knows what's in their minds?
Well, I've got a short news clip from there, so let's see.
Elections Commission certified 8 candidates to appear on Wisconsin's ballot this November, even though one has suspended his campaign and asked to actually be taken off. Our State Capitol Bureau Chief, Vanessa Kelson, tells us more about the impact third-party candidates can have on Wisconsin's elections.
While the attention this fall is on Democrats and Republicans, thousands of Wisconsinites are focused on third and independent party candidates. And in a battleground state like Wisconsin with razor-thin margins, every vote counts.
Oh, I feel really good. It gives me and people throughout the state somebody to vote their conscience.
In a presidential election, Pete Karras has never voted for a Republican or a Democrat.
The Wisconsin Green Party is not going to take this sitting down.
The Wisconsin Elections Commission voting to keep 8 presidential candidates on Wisconsin's ballot, including RFK Jr., Jill Stein, and Cornel West.
No matter how we do it, we'll have a lawsuit tomorrow morning.
RFK Jr.'s campaign sent a letter to the commission asking for his name to be removed from Wisconsin's ballot.
Robert F. Kennedy has to stay on the ballot.
But Wisconsin state statute details if you file nomination papers and qualify, there are no takebacks. Your name stays on the ballot unless you die.
He can appeal it tomorrow if he thinks it's unfair, but I don't see what sort of leeway we have to ignore a very specific statute.
The last 4 out of 6 presidential elections were decided by less than a percentage point in Wisconsin. And while Karras says independent voters wouldn't vote at all if not for a third-party candidate, having 8 names to choose from on Wisconsin's ballot could play a key role in the election. For now, in Madison, Vanessa Kelson.
And here's the full list of third-party and independent candidates on Wisconsin's ballot. Besides Green Party's Jill Stein, they include Randall Terry of the Constitution Party, Chase Oliver of the Libertarian Party, Claudia De La Cruz of the Socialism and Liberation Party, and independent candidates Cornel West and RFK Jr.
Anyone want to jump in? Please do.
Thanks for highlighting that.
That guy that was interviewed looked familiar. I don't know.
Yeah, way to go, Pete.
Wearing the same shirt.
And if you guys don't know what Matt went through 2 years ago in North Carolina, there were 3 Democrats on the panel, 2 Republicans. The Democrats cut the Republicans' mic, wouldn't even let them argue to allow Matt on the ballot. So they cut him off the ballot. And then the Democrats had to take another step by sending people from D.C. down to North Carolina to call people, knock on doors, and say, you realize you signed the petition for this Green to be on. I mean, you didn't really want to do that, did you? I mean, that is just mind-blowing, the lengths they'll go to. So thank you, Pete, for bringing all this to our attention, man. And I'm glad to see so many voices, so many choices in Wisconsin this year.
Yeah, it's just been crazy. And one point that we've made through, well, every interview we've done and any interaction we've had with the enemy, the Democrats, is that in 2026, they're going to pay for this. We are going to run candidates in every statewide constitutional office. We already have candidates for governor. lieutenant governor, myself as Secretary of State, State Treasurer, and Attorney General, and we're going to target every purple district in the state. And you know, we're gonna teach them a lesson. They cannot do this to democracy. And if they want to call,
hey, you know what else was really impressive, Pete? You
Hmm?
never voted for a Democrat or Republican. Good job,
Never.
man. How'd you manage that all your life, brother?
That's
Never.
dedication, man.
I almost voted for Dukakis, but I changed my mind
Wow.
in the booth.
That's
I
awesome.
won't. My grandfather who was a Republican, had a different name for him. I'll let you imagine what that was.
Yeah, I remember.
Anyway, the money though, like you were saying, of what they spend on this. I mean, when so many people are struggling, and you think like just to try to kill the competition,
Mhm.
it's just disgusting. And then, like you said, just being served, I mean, it's lawfare. They can use the courts as a weapon, and you are stuck having to pay a lawyer thousands upon thousands of dollars or more, or what, go pro se. I mean, it's a game. They know what they're doing. And yeah, I do wish Matt was here to tell it. He can tell it better than I can. But I mean, what I remember from his race, one of the most shocking things was, just have this Mark Elias law group, and Mark Elias himself, who I think he has a podcast or something. He was behind all of that. And yeah, people were going door to door and making phone calls. And this one guy that was part of the North Carolina Green Party, they actually called him, I guess just randomly. And so he recorded it, and they lied, and they said they were with the Green Party at first. And then they said, that, as you said, Joe, are you sure you want to, be a spoiler? And I think we really have to change that narrative. I mean, there's so many of you across the country, and last week we had an all libertarian panel, but now we've got mostly Greens, and we've got 3 Greens and 2 independents.
Yep.
And I think there's so much that can be done with all of you that 70% of things maybe you can work together on, like grown-ups, right? Not what we have now.
Well, that's the goal. In all honesty, if you don't mind me just like commenting.
No, please go ahead.
Because so the whole reason I even got into this in the first place. First of all, let me just say that I started running as a Democrat this election cycle, and I was just starting to get my petition signatures and all of that. And I had posted a TikTok. And someone who works with the Green Party, Ariel, he discovered my TikTok and actually reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to represent the Green Party in either District 10 or 8, I think it was at the time. And I was running originally in 9. So I was okay with like moving over and stuff. But, being so new to politics. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. I think it's just some background noise.
Oh,
go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. Being so new to politics, like on this like deep of a level, I would say, is very like eye-opening. And I wish that more people would see that. I wish more people would see what I saw from being a Democrat, a hardcore Democrat, I will say I was. And moving to like the Green Party, it was such a dramatic change for me, and it made me realize even more what's wrong with our country and the division that we suffer from across the entire country. It's like a plague, and it really pains me to see that. It really pains me to see that we're so divisive and so against one another when we all just have a common goal of peace, calamity, like just inner peace. You know what I mean? I want everyone to be heard and feel seen.
Yeah. And Barry.
Yeah, Pete, I just want to tell you your goal is definitely achievable, because here in New Jersey, we have all 12 congressional districts covered, and we have a Senate candidate. So we're calling it the Green 13.
Everybody knows about the Green 13.
Full speed ahead. Full speed. I happen to be the elections chair here in New Jersey. So
cool.
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
I'm the executive co-chair for the Green Council in the Green Party of New Jersey. Cool. Such an honor to be like a part of like such a brand new community to me, and it made me feel very welcomed. So, yeah.
Well, speaking of community, you know, we talk a lot about how the media it's always a media blackout for candidates like you, right? And we know we're dealing with like massive censorship on every single platform there is. I mean, we can try, we certainly do things like this, but I think it's so important that, you know, candidates like you are usually the ones on the ground in the community doing things. And Joyce, I was looking at some stuff you were doing. Hold on, you'll have to tell me. It's the Navy League of Minnesota. You're involved with veterans, and you know we hear so often that these incumbents, these that have been in office for whatever 20, 30 years until they die.
Exactly what Ben said. Yeah.
Nobody sees them. They're never here. They're not part of the district. So I don't know, Joyce, do you want to tell a little bit about? I mean, I don't know anything about what you do in your community or. We're all greens here, so or mostly greens. I wanted to make sure everyone gets a chance. Oh, I think you're muted. Hold on. Let me unmute you. There you go.
Well, I always say that, you know, you're a public servant, so a public servant should serve. And basically, these people are not serving. They will be glad to go to something if they can take cameras along and say, hey, I did this, and make sure you get this on camera. There was a senator that we had years ago, Wellstone, and I wasn't a Democrat, but I really respected him because every year he would come out to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, and he would come by himself just because he respected Vietnam veterans. And he never brought cameras with him, and that's the type of person you need in there. You need somebody that actually genuinely cares about people, cares about veterans. And yes, I'm the vice president of community engagement for the Navy League of the United States, Minnesota Council. And then also I'm American Legion Auxiliary chaplain. And so I'm very active in the community and also do things with the American Cancer Society. We just had our Relay for Life. And so I think that's so important. You should actually have a person in office that's truly a public servant. And I mean, all this is volunteer. I don't get paid for any of this. And that's what you need. You need a public servant. And unfortunately, the people that are in office, like you said, you never see them at anything except maybe a fundraiser where they're, you know, 100 or 200 or $500 a plate, that type of thing. But you'd never see them at the Relay for Life, you know, volunteering to help people and research for cancer, or at the Alzheimer's walk, or you know, the memory walk to end Alzheimer's, or anything like that, or even helping with the veterans. And I think that's so important, and I think people need to realize that, and it needs to be brought into the light that we need public servants that are genuinely public servants. They're not, you know, we're not out for money, we're not out for getting paid, we're there to serve the public, and that's what a public servant should do. That's what a senator should do. That's what a representative should do. That's what a commissioner should do. So that's kind
Absolutely.
of, you know, what I believe.
Yeah, well, we've talked a lot too about APAC on here, you know, and money that comes from all of industries, you know, and that's really what they're answering to, not the people, right?
Exactly. And it's horrible that lobbyists can get by. Like I said, we had 2 Senate files and 2 House files that we tried to pass a bill for, which was basically just to enforce the rights for the Ward's Bill of Rights, letting them live where they want to live, letting them not be drugged if they didn't want to be drugged. But of course, if they lived where they wanted to live, then the guardian couldn't steal their home. And if they basically, you know, if they did the other things where they didn't get drugged, then they couldn't be incompetent anymore, because most of these people are not incompetent. They are immediately taken into a nursing home or group home and then drugged continuously against their will. I can just tell you shortly about this happened to my mother, and that's how I first got involved with trying to get a bill passed. Basically, we were at the hospital just because I took her in to the emergency room just because the doctor wasn't open, and she had congestive heart failure and wasn't breathing real good. After we were volunteering again, we were volunteering with the Alzheimer's walk. Anyway, so I took her in. They wanted to keep her for observation. And I said, sure, you know, that's fine. I wanted the best for her. So basically, they kept her in the hospital. And then the next day, here comes this hospitalist doctor who has never seen my mother before in his life, a hospice nurse of all people, social worker, and chaplain. They all came in, and for 27 minutes, they tried to convince me to put my mother DNR, dump her in a nursing home, and put her on hospice. Well, she just got back from the Miss Senior USA pageant. She was a
Oh my
comedian.
God.
She won Miss Congeniality. Yeah, she was not at all means incompetent. But then I found out the hospital was going bankrupt. They had shareholders to answer to, and she was a vulnerable adult. So she was just a sucker. They could have cared less about her health. They didn't care about her health. They just cared about the money they could make off of her. So
Oh
basically,
my
I
God.
said no to everything. I said no, no, no to all those three things. And then the doctor, the hospitalist doctor, he shook his finger at me and he said, "You're a very, very poor power of attorney. I've wasted 27 minutes on you. Oh, by the way, are you the legal guardian?" And I said, "No, of course not. She's not incompetent. She doesn't need a legal guardian." And so then he left, and I thought everything was fine. But boy, I should have gotten my mom out of there right then and there because they went right to work. What they do is they get the doctor puts in that she's incompetent when she's not. And basically, that's taken to court, and the judge signs off, and there you have your guardian. The social services at the hospital makes about $14,000 for each person they put in the system. Then
What?
they had an ambulance. They put my mother in a nursing home 215 miles away, and she was in the Twin Cities. So there's like, I don't know, maybe 200 hospitals or nursing homes in the Twin Cities. So I called another nursing home and they said, "Oh, yes, we have a bed." And I called the guardian. The guardian wouldn't answer. I called like 25 times. But they were insistent on taking her to this nursing home. It was so they could get a 215-mile ambulance bill. I could have bought a mansion in Malibu for that price. And so anyway, the poor thing right away, she said, "No, no, no, I don't want to go to a nursing home." So what did they do? They started giving her a shot. And I said, "What are you giving her?" to the nurse. And she said, "Oh, it's morphine." And I said, "She doesn't need morphine." And the nurse said, "Well, the guardian said to use any and all means necessary to make her comply." And after that, it was comply, comply, comply.
Is this
Within 3
happening
weeks
in
of
other
being,
states? Is this
oh yes,
happening?
and people, and I
Wow.
was threatened with arrest if I took her out of the nursing home. They are arresting people,
Wow.
family members that try to save their parents or loved ones. And so basically, well, within 3 weeks, because she was treated terribly. She was not allowed to sit on a commode. She was forced to use a bedpan her entire stay, given day-old pureed food because of the fact that she was being drugged continuously and couldn't swallow. Or, you can't swallow on that morphine, and you can't hardly breathe. Anyway, so what happened was, within 3 weeks, she got pneumonia, staph infection, septic blood, UTI, bed sores, temperature of 102. And I kept putting cold cloths. I drove every day, 4 hours there and 4 hours back. I wasn't allowed to stay overnight. But so I kept putting cold cloths under her armpits and on her forehead. Got the fever down and then it would spike. Got it down, it would spike. I tried calling an ambulance and then the day nurse actually pushed them out and then pushed me out the door. And so on Sunday night, I called the night nurse and I said, "How's she doing?" And she said, "Well, I called the ambulance because her fever spiked again." So they did take her in, and she was a fighter. So she's kind of like Sophia on the Golden Girls, except she was 100% Norwegian and Sophia was 100% Italian. Anyway, so they took her to Fargo. Yeah, by that time, she's all the way to Fargo from the Twin Cities. And anyway, they gave her 4 IV antibiotics, one for the pneumonia, one for the staph infection, one for the septic blood, one for the UTI. They took her in on a Monday on a ventilator. By Wednesday, when she was treated like a human being and not drugged, she was sitting up. She was so happy she could sit on a commode to go to the bathroom. She could eat decent food. Anyway, so I found a nursing home, Bethany, just a few miles from the hospital, and they were going to save a bed. So everything was all set. Nope, here comes a guardian. Absolutely not. No, she's going 80 miles back to the nursing home, the negligent nursing home that nearly killed her. So then I told the caseworker, I said, "I would rather go to jail than have her go back there. They nearly killed her in just 3 weeks." And so then what they did was basically they had me removed by security from the hospital, Essentia Health, and I was not allowed back on the premises. After that, I was only allowed 2 hour supervised visits with my mom, and they forced her to go back, and that trip it could have killed her. I mean, she's on a ventilator on Monday, and then on Thursday they're forcing her to go back there. Unbelievable. And then when she got back, I got a negligent nursing home attorney. So what did they do? They wouldn't release any information and they put her on hospice. She just got done fighting pneumonia, staph infection, septic blood, UTI, bed sores. Well, she still had the bed sores, but she never had the bed sores before. And that's the thing. They knew that because she was at the hospital, before. So they
So
definitely were negligent.
the media has not really like this is sort of a blackout on this story, sounds like.
Oh yeah, they won't cover. Oh, this is just one of many. There's one woman, I talked to her quite a bit. She's from Duluth and she's now in Greece. Same thing. Her mother, and she was a veteran. Her mother was taken in because the husband died and they had lots of money. Here comes the vultures, the guardians. They took the mother to the nursing home, told the daughter that, your mom will never see the sun again. And basically, she was walking 4 miles a day and they would not even let her. I mean, they put the little band on your ankle like you're a prisoner. That's what's so ironic is they call these people protected persons. They're no more protected than fly to the moon. But anyway, she got together with her military comrades and their people in her church. They did an elaborate escape for the mother. They hid across the United States, and then they got it there. They had visas so that they had dual citizenship, which most of us don't have. So anyway, what happened? Well, they got her to Greece. Oh no, she's been there for 6 years now. She's doing great. They gave the mom 3 months to live, but now they can't come back to the United States because the guardian put a warrant out for the.
Oh, we just lost Joyce. Well, I think it's like almost any story of corruption. When there's money involved, and that's a terrifying story. But if we don't fight back, when we have to, I don't know what happened. I think she was on an iPad and it.
Have you, Kelly? Have you heard? Has Beau Forte been on Candace?
Yes,
he has.
Yes, and I've heard this about his dad. Yep.
Yeah, it's horrible. It is absolutely horrible what our healthcare system has become. Like it's just falling. It's another part of our system that is falling apart. Our government's falling apart. Our healthcare system's falling apart. Our incarceration system is falling apart. We are building more ICE detention centers. In my district, they are expanding an ICE detention center. They're expanding it in Newark, and I know there's been protests on it, and we're going to continue to protest. The thing is, and I want to circle back to something that was said before. The thing is, when I'm at these kinds of events, I always forget to take pictures. I was like, I don't remember who was bringing that up before, but like with publicity and such, many times I forget to take pictures of myself. I'll remember to take pictures of the other candidates that I'm with, but when it comes to me, I'm just like so focused on like the event that is happening because I'm so involved and I'm so passionate about it. So I just had to yap a little bit.
It's crazy. As Joyce, I think, was here and she's gone again, but for $14,000, a human being was sold out.
Yeah.
And John, you're right. It happens with, prisons for profit. It's just, it's becoming a ridiculous society that we're living in.
It's like we're just cattle.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the rich and the working class. That's all it is. That's all it is now. And it's sad. It's so sad.
Well, we've got about 15 minutes. Because you brought it up, Barry, I would like to play this. It's less than 2 minutes. It's actually from a show, Do Dissidents. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. They're great. But it's the attorney for the Uhuru movement, which is that September 3rd?
September 3rd is the trial. Oops, am I muted? No, I'm not muted. August 31st, there's a march in St. Petersburg, and then the trial starts September 3rd. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to just play this clip for anybody that hasn't heard about it, give you a little bit of background.
As you say, this group has been around since the 70s. They are, left black radicals, I guess you could say. Penny can describe it better, but the charges it's an obscure charge that they are secret Russian agents operating in the U.S. Now, they've been around since the 70s. Their positions have not changed. They're anti-colonialists, they're leftists, they're anti-war. They've always been an international organization. It's in their platform. They seek international allies. Penny, again, can tell you better than me. They've been to many countries and allied with foreign nationals in Ireland, all over Africa, in Spain, and in Russia. And this wasn't a problem until the spring of 2022, when they were speaking out against the support for fueling the war in Ukraine. They were contradicting the narrative, the official narrative, that this was an unprovoked invasion. And O'Malley was giving speeches saying, that this was provoked, that NATO, and these are speeches that he'd been giving for decades about NATO expansion. They had been criticized the coup in 2014 at the time in Ukraine, where they replaced a Russia-friendly president with a NATO-friendly president, and the arming of Ukraine and the dangerous provocation. So they've been out there doing that. It wasn't a problem until the spring of 2022, after Russia invaded Ukraine. And then it was a problem. And then in July, Penny, again, can just tell you what happened, but they were raided by FBI SWAT teams. Their homes, their offices, all their files were seized. And it was a quite violent raid. So that's basically where we're at.
Yeah. The funny thing is they're being charged as foreign agents, yet all these politicians who are taking money from AIPAC aren't being charged as foreign agents. How the hell does that work? Somebody's got to explain that one to me.
Yeah, total double standard, and it's just a shutting down of the people's voices.
Yep.
And I guess that kind of is a good segue into this clip I have. Let's see, it is 3 minutes, so recently, if you're not familiar, the founder, the CEO of Telegram was arrested in France. And I think I feel like Assange was finally freed, and then they're clamping down on everything else. Everybody. I mean, I can't even count how many stories there are, small stories of, newsrooms being raided. I mean, it's just like, I don't know, it just opened this like Pandora's box of let's crack down on everything else. So anyway, it's a clip. I do want to say I'm not promoting Tucker Carlson, but it's a clip from his show, and I've actually just got a still of Pavel Durov speaking over it. So it's the audio with a photo of him. So here we go.
We got too much attention from the FBI, the security agencies, wherever we came to the US. So to give you an example, last time I was in the US, I brought an engineer that is working for Telegram, and there was an attempt to secretly hire my engineer behind my back by cybersecurity officers or agents, wherever they are called.
The US government should hire your engineer?
That's my understanding. That's what he told me.
To write code for them or to break into Telegram?
They were curious to learn which open source libraries are integrated to the Telegram's app, on the client side. And they were trying to persuade him to use certain open source tools that he would then integrate into the Telegram's code that, in my understanding, would serve as backdoors.
Would allow the US government to spy on people who use Telegram?
The US government, or maybe any other government, because a backdoor is a backdoor regardless of who is using it. Whenever I would go to the US, I would have 2 FBI agents greeting me at the airport, asking questions. One time I was having my breakfast at like 9 a.m. and the FBI showed up at my house that I was renting. And that was quite surprising. And I thought, we're getting too much attention here. It's probably not the best environment to run.
Why would had you committed a crime?
No, they were interested to learn more about Telegram. They knew I, left Russia. They knew what we were doing, but they wanted details. And my understanding is that they wanted to establish a relationship to kind of, in a way, control Telegram better. I understand they were doing their job. It's just that for us running a privacy-focused social media platform, that probably wasn't the best environment to be. Telegram is a large platform, we are popular in many, many countries. We've been receiving a lot of requests, demands. Some of them were legitimate. Like if there was a group of people who was promoting violence, there was some terrorist activity that was spreading violence in some parts of the world, publicly posting things that any decent human being would disallow or wouldn't want to be posted. We would help them. But in some other cases where we thought it would be crossing the line, it wouldn't be in line with our values of freedom of speech and protecting people's private correspondence, we would ignore. After the events of January the 6th, we received a letter from, I believe, congressmen of the Democratic side, and they requested that we would share all the data we had in relation to what they called this uprising. And we checked it with our lawyers, and they said, you better ignore it. But the letter seemed very serious, and the letter said, if you fail to comply with this request, you will be in violation with the US Constitution or something. But they wanted the data of people, who were demonstrating in Washington or wherever they were doing. What was funny about it is 2 weeks after that letter, we got another letter, a new letter from the Republican side of the Congress. And there we read that if we give out any data according to the previous request, we would be in violation of the US Constitution. So we got 2 letters that said, whatever we do, we'd be violating the US Constitution.
So there's already all of this misinformation around about him. And I really encourage you to watch the rest of the interview. But he talks about how he left Russia because the Russian government was insisting on having a backdoor. So you may hear like, oh, he's this, bad Russian guy. But no, he left Russia because he didn't want the Russian government being able to do that either. But I think, I don't know. What do you guys think? Have you heard much about this story yet?
What was he charged with?
They're saying that, like the usual, that on a platform that's not controlled, I think there were some charges of, someone selling drugs or, pornography and all this. But it's this, we get into the same thing, just like with WikiLeaks, is like shoot the messenger, right? Like, and he even says further in the interview that when they did find stuff that was, violence or whatever, that they would do something about it. But it's basically, it sounds to me like it's just under the guise of that, protecting, policing things. But what they're really doing is he won't cooperate. He doesn't want to be like Zuckerberg. Or, I think there's some misconceptions about Elon Musk because I don't really believe Twitter is free speech. But, all these other platforms, TikTok, this is why we talk about the TikTok ban on this program a lot too. And we don't have time for it, but I got a great clip of Anthony Blinken and Romney talking about how they need to, shut down TikTok because people saw too much footage about Palestine. So it's like if you aren't controllable, then they're going to go after you.
Exactly.
And also, the idea of like he said that the U.S. Constitution, he's not in the U.S. Why does the U.S. think it polices the entire world? If he doesn't have, well, we do.
They think they own the entire world. Come on.
Exactly. With everything going on in the Middle East right now, and it being literally silenced on TikTok now. I have not seen a single TikTok, and I scroll through TikTok a lot, when I'm in bed at night. Like I could scroll for hours if I wanted to. And nothing in regards to Palestine ever comes up. And it also is comparable to us being silenced as candidates. I'm barely getting reaches sometimes. There are days where it's like I'm not getting as many views on things, and I feel as though I'm not reaching enough people that I would like to reach, because my district has 830 something thousand citizens. I want to be able to help everyone in any way I can, and just like the whole situation back to the Middle East and in Palestine. It's I went to a protest today, and it was powerful. It was my first like actual protest where we were like picketing and peacefully. And it was something that was beautiful to see because it saw that we all had a common goal and we were there for that goal and we were there to, achieve it.
Yeah. I mean, that they can't really police. Well, they can. They can with tear gas or whatever. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think candidates like you guys, you have to utilize the independent media that's out there that does want to give you a voice for sure. But also, I guess, just being known in your community. But yeah, this crackdown on all these platforms. I was reading something. It's the Electronic Frontier Foundation, I believe, has a good article on the whole TikTok thing. I guess it's going to be in court for a while, but in the meantime, they are very much censoring. I mean, I've been listening to some lives on TikTok lives, political stuff, and they will just shut down a stream if you say the word elections too many times.
Say the word elections. I used to be an influencer in the past. I had my little 15 minutes of fame, here and there on like random viral TikToks in the past. And, you learn about the algorithm and how it pertains to you and what you like. And then it shuts everything else out until you say something else that will attract you, because that is like a form of tracking and security breaching in a way that Facebook does, that Instagram does. They are all doing this to us. We could be talking about, I don't know, I'm drinking a Celsius right now because I'm tired, and next thing you know, I'm going to get a Celsius ad on my phone. You know that? And it's like they're putting all these nonsensical things in front of us when there's bigger issues going on, like Palestine and third-party candidates running. We need a better, stronger platform, and we need to tackle mainstream media. Sorry, I yapped a lot.
No, please. You're absolutely right. Well, see, Matt's not here to do the wrap up. He's always like, top of the hour. Come on. So
I got something that Matt would say. I got something.
Yes, go ahead. We can go over a little bit if you guys would like to.
So Matt would, when he was on the program WBAI, I guess, he was talking about they were talking about Eisenhower. He was the last politician, president, leader, basically, who would admit failure. And nowadays, it would be so humbling if people would actually come forward and say, you know what, things are messed up. We can fix it for real. But yet it's not. I mean, here's a book I'm reading now, The Age of Grievance, right? And in it says, the American dream is no longer attainable. We have basically been ripped apart by the idea that we're all in this together. No, they want people to be less patient, less civic, less kind. That division is what's fueling the legacy parties right now, and they're just feeding off of it. And we are guardians of what's left. I mean and so thankfully we keep doing this, and hopefully we'll be able to recruit some more numbers, and the FBI can't invade our home. So
yes, they can.
Just gotta keep fighting.
That's a good book, by the way. I just finished that not too long ago. I'm currently on Nuclear War by Annie Jacobson, which is really good.
Nice. Right.
Well, we've had, I think you guys make 60 candidates. And I'm really hopeful that, going into 2026, a lot of people just don't pay attention to the midterms, right? Maybe that's where you have some inroads, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. The crackdown on free speech is just really scary, and we have to keep fighting back against it. So keep your eye on that the Telegram story. And also, I should mention, Gabriel Shipton, Assange's brother, sent an email out today. That we really still need to push for a pardon for Assange. We now have. I mean, I don't think the Biden administration is going to do it, but and also, Trump would say, "Oh, I love WikiLeaks," but then Mike Pompeo was key in, that prosecution. So I don't know, but I think we have to keep talking about it.
Yeah, Trump's the one that had him arrested, right? So.
Can I just say
for me.
one more thing? I'm
Yes,
so
go
sorry,
ahead.
my tablet overheated, but I just thought if you want to look up something really good on guardianship, there's a wonderful YouTube video out there. This goes through it.
Oh,
So you can
you
carry
froze.
guardianship, the deception of protection. So it's
Okay.
just an excellent YouTube video. So
Wait,
just
you
want to, and
froze.
just
Can
remember,
you say
united
that?
we stand, divided we fall.
I'm sorry. Can you say that one more time? Because you froze and I didn't hear.
Oh, okay.
The
Well, the
YouTube
name of
video?
that YouTube video, right, is Involuntary Guardianship, the Deception of Protection.
Wow.
And so
Okay.
that is an excellent video, and it basically explains everything and what's going on with this. Modern day slavery is like organized crime made legal through the probate court system. And you
That's
try to get
just
something
really.
passed, and the Magic, which is the Minnesota Association of Guardians and Conservators, they have lobbyists, and I cannot believe that these people actually take payoffs to vote a certain way, but they do. And so it's just, and a lot of these people that are in office, they are attorneys, so they are also fiduciaries, and they have their hands in the cookie jar. So yeah, it's so sad, but we have to remember, all of us here too, is united we stand, divided we fall. We've got to stick together and support each other, because that's independent, and the Green Party and the Libertarian. I know the gal from the senator that's running for Senate in Minnesota,
Okay.
and she's a
Rebecca.
wonderful gal. I talked to her for probably talked to her for an hour yesterday at the fair,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, she's really great. And so
Yeah.
if I lose to anybody, I wouldn't mind losing to her, but I really don't want to lose to Amy Klobuchar, or it's Royce White is the other candidate on the Republican ticket, and he's a former basketball player that used his campaign finance money to go to a strip club. So I can't believe that people are actually voting for him, and he didn't pay his child support, and anyway.
I think people just are too brainwashed by that narrative that's been pushed for so long. Who Phil Anderson, who's a regular on this show, he's a libertarian, says came out of Operation Mockingbird, I believe. But the narrative that third parties can't win is so ingrained in people's minds, and they say, well, I want to vote for you, but then the other side's going to win.
It makes me so angry.
I know, but we just
like, come on.
There's an answer to that.
Yes.
It's called ranked choice voting, folks.
Right. Wasn't there something the Democrats I'm sure they're doing this in every state, but aren't they fighting against ranked choice voting?
We have some municipalities in New Jersey that do have are implementing ranked choice voting, right, Barry?
No.
They're trying to appeal it in Alaska.
I belong to another organization called Voter Choice New Jersey. We're pushing for ranked choice voting in New Jersey. What we have is trigger ordinances from a couple of the biggest cities in New Jersey. What a trigger ordinance says, as soon as the state legislature passes the law that says municipalities and boards of education can use ranked choice voting, they immediately will put it on their ballot and have the people vote on whether they want to use ranked choice voting. But we're making really big headway in New Jersey as far as ranked choice voting.
Good. Well, I really encourage anybody who would like to come back anytime. We have been doing this since January, and thankfully, Assange was freed, but the work is not over. So we're going to continue, and I really love seeing these conversations between libertarians, Greens, independents on all these issues, healthcare, voting, all of it. So we're going to try to kind of shift gears. We have Dennis Kucinich coming on September 19th. And then after that, I think we're going to start doing some more real debate style. And we'll put out something, this is the topic, and we're going to see if we can have some grown-up conversations about solutions. So I don't know. I think
Thanks for doing this.
Keep up the good work, Kelly.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
You
for
too.
the invite. This was great.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So great to meet you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
It's an honor to meet you. Thank you.